In this video, we will discuss the basics about the Python classes. So first, what is class? So basically class is a blueprint for creating the objects. So it has two types of members in the class. One is called the properties or attribute, and the other member is called the behavior or method of an object. The basic key concepts include object-oriented programming and reusability and modularity. The basic syntax of the class in Python. A class is declared by using the keyword class followed by the class name. For example, in Python code, here we have taken a class keyword followed by we have given the name dog as a class name. This pass shows that this class contains no member, that is no attribute, no behavior. Now, the attributes are basically the variable that store the object data. Basically, these are the variable which contains the data related with the objects. The attributes are basically defined within the class init method. The init is an inbuilt method used in the Python. On the other hand, the second member, that is method, these are the functions defined inside a class, and these are basically used to define the behavior of an object. So overall, the class contains attribute and methods. Now, the init method. The init method is a special method in the Python, and this method is basically used to initialize the attribute of an object. Now let us see the example. Suppose we have taken a class, the name of the class is dog, and we have used this init method. The init method basically contains three attributes. The first attribute is compulsory a self parameter, whereas the other two we have taken the name and the age. In every init method, self is always the first parameter. Now we have initialized the member, we have initialized the data like self.name is equal to name and self.age is equal to age. Here the self basically refer to the current instance of the class. Now how to create the object. Now we have seen that how to create a class and init method. Now how to create an object. The object is created by taking an object name is equal to name of the class and by passing the parameter in the parentheses. So in this example, this is the object name and this is name of the class, and these two are the parameters. Now how to assess the attributes? To assess the attribute of the class, we have to use the class name dot name of the attribute. Now how to add method into the class? To define a method in the class, use the def keyword just as a normal function, as we define the normal function in the Python. Just use the def keyword, then name of the method, like in this example def bark is name of the method, and we have to pass a self parameter, then a return value. Now how to call this method? Just like attribute, the method are also called by using the object name dot the name of the method that we want to call. So the method are also called by using the object name followed by name of the method. Now some point to be remembered about the self. The first argument to a constructor is always a self. The first argument to the instance method is always a self. Self is not a keyword, so we can use any other name like help, etc. We can use any other name. We can use self always within the class only. So basically self is similar to the this pointer which was used in C++ and it refers to the current object. So basically self is a reference to the current object. Now let's discuss the internal members of the class. As we have discussed that there are two types of member, one is variable and the other are methods. Now let's see what are various types of the variable in class. There are basically three types of variable in the class called instance variable, static variable and local variable. All three variables have different position in the class as well as they can be accessed by different methods. For example, if we talk about the instance variable, they are declared using self. They are basically object dependent. Every object has different value. They are basically declared in the instance method and assessed by using object of the class. By using object reference, we can assess this instance variable. So each object has its own copy, means every object will have a different value. On the other hand, if we talk about the static variables are the variable which have the same value or the value of the variable is shared between all the object of the class. So shared by all objects, declared within the class but outside the instance method. Self is not used in its declaration. These are assessed using class name. Third one is the local variable. The local variables have the scope within the method only and they are used in a method for a temporary purpose. Self is not used in its declaration and they can't accessed using the class name or object reference name. Let's see the examples. The first is instance variable class example. Now we have taken a class, that is student class. Here is a init parameter. Here is the init function that contains two parameters a and b. Self is mandatory. Now these two variables are the instance variable. How we came to know that these are instance variable? Because these have a self. These are used by these are declared by using the self, that is which is a reference to the current object. So these are instance variables. Now in this example we have taken these two variables and we have taken another function, print function. This print function prints these two instance variables. So instance variables can be called using reference current object, either self, or this can also be called by using the object of the class. So in this example, name and roll number both are instance variables. Now static variable, the static variable are basically declared outside the instance variable but within the class. So this is the class and this is the static variable. So it is outside of this instance method. So it should be outside the method but it should be within the class. Now in this example we have taken two instance variable and there is a one static variable, and when we use the print function we have taken two objects s1 and s2. In s1 I have given two values Rahul and one to is and its uh, roll number, and in second student we have taken Garima and its roll number. When we print both of these objects, when we print the value of both of these objects, what we get different values for this name and roll number but same value for the university, because the university is static variable and it is shared by both the objects. Local variable, as discussed earlier, local variables are just common, just have the scope within the method. Now suppose we have taken a class CALC and this is the init method, and this is here the C is a local variable. This is basically used to add two numbers. The two numbers are the instance variable, and when we add this instance variable, the sum we get in the C, whereas C is a local variable. This C variable can only be used within this method. Outside this method, if we try to use this, we can't access it. We will get the error. We can't access them by using the object name or the class name. Now next come the various types of method, the other member of the class. Just like variables, the method can also be categorized into three types. One is instance method, second is class method, and third is the static method. Instance method are also called object related method. So self is a compulsory parameter in the instance method and it is the first parameter and can be called using self or object reference. On the other hand, the class method should be compulsory contains CLS as a parameter, just like instance method contains the self. The class method should contain CLF as parameter, and these can be called using class name only. So there is no need to create an object to use this method. That's why it makes the program more memory efficient and fast, because object creation is a costly process. It consumes memory. So if we have only static variable, then class method is best to be used. Third one is the static method. These are generally utility methods and preferably used when we are not using any instance variable or static variable. These can either be called using a class name or using object reference. Now let's see the examples of all these three types of methods. The first is the example of instance method. So here num, in this example, init is a constructor, then num is the instance method, and this instance method can be called using the object reference. Here n is the object that we have created for this class, and we called this method using this object reference. So basically the instance method also use the instance variables. Now the second is the class method. The class method basically used the static variable. Now in this class we have taken these two static variable. Another thing is, to differentiate this class method from the instance method, decorator is used. Here the class method is a decorator. The decorator shows that the next method is not instance method, but it's a class method. So this class method just use this static variable. Here CLS is the compulsory parameter, and these static variables are used by using this CLS, that is CLS dot number 1 plus CLS dot number 2. So the static methods can be used, can be called by using the class name. Here this is the class name and this name of the method. On third one is the static method. These the static methods are very are general utility methods. Now let us see in this example. Here we have taken three static methods. One is sum, second is difference, third is multiply. All these three methods takes x and y as argument. The sum method just add them, difference method just subtract them, and the multiply just multiply them. Here we called this, we can call this method either by using the class reference, either by using the class name or by using the object reference. Here we have called these three methods by using the class name, and here we have called these three by using the object reference. Here the decorator is the static method. The decorator used is the static method. This decorator shows that this method is going to be static. Now the name mangling. The name mangling is basically used for data hiding. The name mangling in Python is a mechanism to make some class attribute more private by changing their name. So this feature is important by prefixing an attribute name with double single quote. So we make a member private by using double underscore, but the Python virtual machine changes its name by adding the class name. So Python changes the name of such attribute to include a class name as a prefix. Let's see how it works. Suppose in this class we have taken this name attribute as double underscore. So it is a private attribute. This name is a with double underscore, it is a private attribute. Now the Python virtual machine will save this attribute by adding the class name in front of it. So now if we access this attribute by using the simple object reference, that is s dot double, this will create an error. This will raise an error because it is a private attribute and we can't access it. But if we access it by using this way, that is s dot then class name double underscore name of the attribute, then it will work correctly. Because the Python virtual machine has done a name mangling, that is, it has changed its name from double underscore name to underscore student double underscore name. So in this way we can access this attribute by adding this class name with underscore, and then we can access